Hello, I'm Jan from The Upcoming. Pleasure speaking to you. Would you like to tell me more about your character and what role does he play in the film?
Yes, sure. So my character Jake, he's quite a complex character. He comes across as being a bit of a, to put it politely, an arsehole in the film. But I think his trauma goes a lot deeper than it just kind of being a superficial bad guy. He has a lot of childhood trauma. He deals with abandonment, and I think that really shows how confused he is later on in the film.
You call him an asshole, but I also, when I was watching the film, I felt like, he's, as you say, he's complex, but he's like, he's supposed to be like the bad guy in the film, but you don't really like feel like he's the worst person in the world, if that makes sense. I'm curious, how did you try to find this balance to show him both as like a toxic partner, but also like a normal human being who's also able to, to be sentient and feel stuff?
I think that was the challenge for me, which I found really interesting, and I loved kind of like delving into it as well because like I said, I never truly believe that there is good guys and bad guys. I feel like everyone is the same. It's just circumstance. In Jake's scenario, he is just a normal guy who has toxic traits, which I feel a lot of straight men do have, and gay men do as well, have a lot of toxic traits. I kind of like brought my own experiences from life and relationships that I'd been in the past. I may have been guilty in the past of being slightly toxic in certain ways, and I've tried to work on that myself, but I've taken those traits that I feel are not very attractive and kind of like emphasized on them in the film, but at the same time bringing that kind of like human trait to him, that all these kind of traumas and all these bad things, they come from a place of trauma or a place of abandonment, and that's how I try to bring it to the actual role.
Yeah, how do you think that men, like your characters, can work on their traumas and their own masculinity in order to be better partners?
I may have been guilty of it in the past. For me personally, it was kind of more kind of like you want to control everything. You want your relationship to go a certain direction. You want your girl to be a certain way or your boyfriend to be a certain way, kind of thing. And then as I've got older, I've realized that's wrong and it's not possible. And everybody's free. Everybody has their own flaws and their own perfections and everything like that. So I feel like if you can really look at yourself and think, what am I trying to control? And then just let it go and kind of just let it be and let things flow a lot more, and really just be aware of how you are with your other half. I think it's so important.
I found it interesting because when you build this relationship with Lloyd in a film, it starts like, it starts like a honeymoon, and then there's this transition to a more toxic relationship. And I'm curious, how did you discuss and work on this moment of change in those dynamics?
Because there's supposed to be quite a lot of sexual chemistry between us, which I think me and Lloyd just kind of, it just worked naturally with us anyway, which was great. And as we made the film, we noticed that there was a lot. He was being very toxic. He was being very aggressive and things like that. And we watched a few of the scenes and we realized, hang on, we need to soften this a little bit. It's showing too much of the negative sides. So I think after looking back on it, we actually, later on down the line, we filmed a few more scenes of me being a bit softer and showing that loving side and things like that. So it was kind of like a reverse process, if you know what I mean. But I think it works pretty well because we could see what the end result was, so we knew exactly what we needed for the beginning.
And when did you know the result is the one you wanted to have? Is it like just a feeling that you feel it, or?
Yeah, I think so, because the filming, the way that we filmed it, it was kind of very collaborative. So we had a script, but then we'd come to it, the scene on the day. We'd look at the script, we kind of skim read it so we knew what it was about, and then we say, right, we're going to hit these certain beats and these certain points, but we're just kind of like just let it flow. So I think the beauty of it was that it felt really realistic when we were filming it, and almost like you kind of like you know when it feels right, when something just clicks. And I think that's what it was every time we did a scene, kind of like improvised. It just felt right, and we thought, yeah, that's the one. We'll go with that.
It feels like you managed to learn a lot about your character, but did you learn anything about yourself as well?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's funny you say that because, as I mentioned before, when I said I may have had a few toxic traits in myself, and it's something that I've really improved on, but I feel like those kind of traits that Jake has in the film were a reflection of me. It kind of like really, it emphasized it to my own eyes. I could see it more clearly, like what I used to be like, and maybe still am to a certain extent. I learned that how to be a better person, I think, is the goal. So
When you were watching the film for the first time, did you feel like a relief that you're not this person anymore?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I mean, by no means am I like this guy. I don't have the same kind of traumas or anything like that, but I definitely do have similarities, and I'm thankful more that I can look at myself and change myself more than anything.
How would you read the main title of the film, and did you have any your like departures in your own life?
A few, yes. I've had, like everybody, we've all had certain traumas. Some things I'd rather not speak about, but yeah, I mean, we've all had very difficult times in our lives, and those things really do help me when I'm doing any kind of acting work. If it's an emotional scene or anything like that, it does help to bring that emotion out. 100%.
When you're starring the films like this, do you feel like this is an important job? That this is like you feel like you have like a way of responsibility because you talk about so many important topics like trauma, toxic relationships, and you have to handle this topic well because then the audience is gonna watch it and then they might take something from it as well.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, when Lloyd came to me with the idea, I trust Lloyd and Neil very much. But they're both brilliant filmmakers, so I knew it was going to be something good. When they, like you say, when they presented me with all these ideas, like the current ideas that they were coming out with, it made me want to make this film as amazing as it possibly could be. So yeah, I feel privileged to have been able to be part of this kind of current situations and stuff. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.